Level 1. The Recruit, the Ghost in the Transit House. Your identity is dissolved in the sulfuric stench of a basement in Hanley, stripped away by a handler who doesn't even look you in the eye as he takes your passport. The room is a sensory vacuum, filled with the low-frequency hum of a faulty refrigerator and the rhythmic, dry coughing of 12 other men from 4 different continents. You smell of stale sweat, cheap Turkish cigarettes, and the metallic tang of a shared copper water jug. There are no grand speeches here, only the cold pragmatism of a logistics hub. You are Subject 402 in a telegram ledger, waiting for a 2 a.m. transport that smells of diesel and old onions. You spend 18 hours a day on a thin foam mattress, the 4mm polyester fibers itching against your skin, listening to the muffled sound of cars passing above, the last sounds of a world that no longer claims you. The fear is a cold lump of lead in your stomach, but the boredom is worse, a grinding psychological erosion designed to make you grateful for the moment the black minibus finally idles at the curb, its sliding doors screeching like a wounded animal. Level 2. The Ribbit Sentry, the static of the front line. The desert doesn't offer glory. It offers the abrasive sting of sand at 60 kilometers per hour and the permanent bitter taste of Captagon pills that keep your eyelids pinned open for a 36-hour watch. Level 2 is the Ribbit, the agonizing stillness of a trench line where the air smells of sun-baked trash and the pungent, chemical odor of burnt motor oil used to lubricate an aging AK-47. Your ears are tuned to a singular, terrifying frequency, the high-pitched, mosquito-like drone of a reconnaissance UAV circling 10,000 feet above, a sound that makes your skin crawl with the realization that you are a thermal signature on a screen in Nevada. You track the passage of time by the cooling of the 7.62mm casing you fiddle with in your pocket and the 500 milliliter rations of lukewarm, plastic-tasting water. The horizon is a blur of heat distortion where every swaying tamarisk tree looks like an approaching Humvee. You are a human tripwire, a disposable sensor in a vast, dusty grid, realizing that your primary function isn't to kill, but to die loud enough to alert the veterans in the secondary line. Level 3. The Injamasi, the weight of the iron vest. Adrenaline is a corrosive acid in your throat as you strap 12 kilograms of military-grade C4 and ball bearings across your chest, the canvas webbing biting into your shoulders like a predator's teeth. This is the Injamasi phase, the shock trooper, where your reality is compressed into the 30-round arc of a curved magazine and the cold, mechanical click of a safety selector. The air in the armored suicide truck smells of raw gasoline, explosive plasticizer, and the frantic, shallow breathing of the man beside you. Your senses are hyper-tuned, the screech of metal on metal as the DIY armor plating scrapes against a concrete barrier, the deafening, bone-shaking thud of an RPG-7 impact, and the blinding white dust of pulverized limestone that coats your tongue. There is a frantic, jagged rhythm to your existence now. You move through a breached wall into a room that smells of cordite and copper, your boots slipping on 0.5mm of fresh blood on a tile floor. You don't look for cover. You look for a crowd, your finger hovering over a detonator toggle that feels as heavy as a mountain, knowing that your entire life has been reduced to a single 0.1 second chemical reaction. Level 4. The Hizbah Officer, the cold ledger of morality. Transformation occurs when you trade the mud of the trench for the starched black cotton of the Hizbah, becoming the predatory shadow in a conquered city's marketplace. The sensory profile shifts to the cloying scent of cheap oud perfume and the aggressive, rhythmic clack-clack of your heavy boots on cobblestones, the sound that causes 40 shops to shutter their doors in 3 seconds. You are no longer a soldier. You are an auditor of souls, carrying a 60-centimeter rattan cane and a digital tablet used to log infractions. You smell the fear, a sharp, vinegary scent, on the breath of a merchant whose beard is 2 centimeters too short. The audio of your day is a symphony of hushed whispers, the scratching of your pen against a fine sheet, and the dull thwack of the cane against a woman's ankles for wearing a fitna-colored veil. You realize that true power isn't the explosion. It's the 5 p.m. public square where the only sound is the heavy shur of a blade being sharpened on a whetstone, and you are the one holding the microphone, reading the charges in a calm, bureaucratic drone. Level 5. The Emir of Logistics, the mathematics of conquest. Promotion into the mid-tier leadership brings you into fortified villas where the air is filtered, smelling of lemon-scented bleach and the burnt bean aroma of endless pots of kawa coffee. Level 5 is the D1, where the war is won with Excel spreadsheets and encrypted satellite uplinks. Your world is defined by numbers. 4,000 barrels of crude oil sold to black market middlemen at $22 a head, the 15% zakat tax on wheat harvests, and the procurement of 500 Toyota Hilux fuel pumps from a shell company in Dubai. The soundscape is the frantic, multi-layered tapping of keyboards and the low rumble of heavy trucks idling in the courtyard, their tires caked in the mud of 3 different borders. You are a CEO of a shadow state, managing a $2 million weekly budget while sitting on a stolen Italian leather sofa. The religious fervor of your youth has been replaced by a cold, calculating cynicism. You don't care about the recruit's soul, you care about his cost per engagement and the 40% failure rate of the latest batch of detonators smuggled in via a detergent shipment. Level 6. The Wali, the architect of the province. As a Wali or governor, you inhabit a world of permanent, high-stakes paranoia where the air is thick with the ozone of high-end signal jammers and the faint, sweet smell of ripe fruit from the gardens of a requisition palace. You are a ghost of the title, moving between 4 different safe houses every 24 hours to evade the 500-pound JDAM bombs that have already claimed your 3 predecessors. Your ears are sensitive to the slightest change in the wind or the sudden silence of birds, which signals an incoming strike. Your day is a series of Shura meetings held in windowless basements where you decide which tribal leaders to pay $50,000 for loyalty and which to execute to maintain the management of savagery. You see the province not as land, but as a grid of caloric needs, ammunition stockpiles, and propaganda opportunities. You watch 4K drone footage of your own men dying on a 60-inch television screen, sipping tea and critiquing the camera angles for the next Wilayat media release. Your heart is cold as the marble floor beneath your feet. Level 7. The Shura Council Member, the Ghost in the Machine. The penultimate level is an existence of absolute anonymity, where you represent the deep state of the caliphate, living in the suburbs of a neutral country or a deep underground complex that smells of damp earth and recycled air. You are the ideological architect, a man whose words become law for 10,000 fighters you will never meet. The sound of this rank are the muffled tapping of encrypted Quran messages and the slow, deliberate rustle of 100-year-old theological texts you use to justify the next mass casualty event. You are the one who signs the death warrants for emirs who grew too greedy and the one who approves the 200-page strategic manual for the global ILATs. There is no luxury here, only the ascetic, terrifying focus of a man who has outlived his own humanity. You deal in the currency of the long war, calculating the demographic shifts of 2030 and the radicalization cycles of European prisons. You are the brain of a headless hydra, realizing that the survival of the idea is worth the extinction of every person currently carrying the flag. Level 8. The Caliph, the burden of the Shadow Crown. At the summit, you are the Khalifa, a religious abstraction wrapped in a human skin, living in a state of sensory deprivation and ultimate responsibility. The smells of your life are reduced to the dusty scent of an underground bunker and the ink of the books you sign with a trembling hand in the dark. You are the most hunted man on the planet, with a $25 million price tag on your head that vibrates in the air around you like a physical weight. Your world is a 10 by 10 concrete room where the only light comes from a single battery-powered lantern. The audio of your existence is the heavy, rhythmic breathing of 2 silent guards and the distant, subsonic thud-thud-thud of bunker buster bombs that have been searching for you for a decade. You are a symbol, a walking corpse whose only function is to provide a 30-second audio clip every 6 months to prove the state still breathes. As you sit on a threadbare prayer rug, tasting the grit of the desert in your dry mouth, you realize the path of the hero has led you to a tomb where you wait for the final, blinding flash of light to turn your shadow into a permanent stain on a wall.